Welcome everyone to this episode of the Disordinati. I'm joined here today by Kristine Eckart. Hello, Kristine. Nice to have you here.
Hi, so good to be here.
So, Kristine is a pop culture writer. You wrote Meet Me at Luke's Lessons in Life and Love from Gilmore Girls, which is my favorite show of all times. But you're also the founder of the Gilmore Girls Book Club, which is a community built around connection, storytelling, and a shared love of this iconic series. Maybe we should start from the origin story and your personal connection to this show. What was it that first drew you to Gilmore Girls, and also how did it evolve from something that you loved, like I do, to the foundation also for your book, Meet Me at Luke's?
I've always been a fan of Gilmore Girls since it came out back in 2000, and it was just such a smart show. And I'm a very bookish person, and so that really resonated. And it's not just Rory and how academically minded she is, but how smart and well-rounded all of the characters were. And it felt grown up, but not overly so, and not overly childish. So I think it hits a really nice sweet spot. And is a great comfort show. Like nothing earth-shattering really happens. And so it was just a wonderful community to be a part of. And so I've continued rewatching it since it went off the air.
Mm.
Um, and then I found the Rory Gilmore Reading Challenge, which is a huge list of books that everybody mentions
Mm.
throughout the show. It's over 400 titles for the original. And I started doing that and founded the Gilmore Book Club to chronicle my journey in reading all of those books. And so that was the blog. And now that blog has turned into all sorts of reading challenges from all kinds of TV shows and movies, which is really fun because a lot of the books cross over too.
Yeah.
So if you've read some, there's a good chance you've read, some from Gossip Girl or something like that. Um, but it was also a really personal journey, and some of the essays that I used for that, I have always really wanted to write a book.
Mm.
And so I used some of those essays as the foundation for the book. And Gilmore Girls is such a beloved fandom and community that, once I found an agent and a publisher, everybody just really loves that. And we're excited to give the fans another little bit of Stars Hollow.
Yeah. I mean, this is amazing. Every time someone talks to me about the Gilmore Girls, I immediately feel, my heart is warming up and I love it.
Yeah.
And it's so exciting for you that you found something that inspired you, not only personally, but also artistically, which is amazing. And so you use this TV show as a sort of framework, not to just write a book, but also to find deeper life lessons as well. So, what is it about stories like the Gilmore Girls that makes them such powerful tools for us to understand ourselves better, do you think?
I think there are a lot of different reasons. With a TV show or a movie or a book, it's easy for us to have a sort of distance that we can look at things more objectively, and see maybe roads that a character maybe shouldn't have gone down or things they shouldn't have said. And that distance gives us a little bit of an opportunity to really analyze what's going on and think about it instead of have our feelings all over the place and get personal. Um, but the benefit is that we get to learn from that and choose our own path. And so it just gives you a lot of options to think about, and you get to see how that might play out. Maybe there's somebody on that show that resembles you, or somebody who resembles a friend or a family member. And so you can kind of play those situations out without getting too caught up in the mess that it might create. And then you can apply those lessons in your life, or it's also a good brainstorming
Mhm.
opportunity of like, hey, maybe I want to have that job, or maybe I want my relationship to look like that, or something like that. And I think sometimes it's hard to picture something that you don't know exists or haven't thought about before, or like haven't encountered. And so it just gives you a whole buffet of options to choose from and think about as to what you want to have in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember when I was younger, looking at, watching the Gilmore Girls and also wondering what type of boyfriend I wanted, and also
Hmm.
sort of finding comfort in seeing that Rory had gone through, good and bad people in
Yeah.
a way, and it's sort of reassuring to know that we are all sharing a similar path in a way. Um,
Exactly.
and you talk about finding purpose without a straight line, let's say, and purpose not being linear. Can you share a moment of your life where things didn't go as planned, but ultimately they led to you, being somewhere meaningful?
I mean, there have been a lot of moments, especially I was just talking about this with a friend. Anyone in a creative
Mm.
profession, there really is no set path to get to where one wants to be, which is incredibly frustrating, but
Mm.
can also be liberating because you can sort of do it whatever way fits you best or whatever way, works. Um, so of course, queried a lot of different agents in trying to get the book, and not everybody is a right fit for the project or for me or the topic or something like that. And the same goes with editors. So there's always sort of a rethink and a reposition, and sometimes you do just have to wait for the right person where their goals connect with your goals. And I've also done, like other jobs in marketing. I talk about in the book, I used to work for a sales agency. And that while it was,
Sorry. In the meantime, my cat is going crazy because I'm
oh,
not
that's
feeding
okay.
her. Sorry.
I
She's
saw a background.
she's always interrupting like every episode that I
Mine
record.
does that too. She's sleeping right now, but I
Ah,
have, yeah, a
sorry.
cat and she'll do that too. Um, even if you spend time doing things that are way outside of the category of what you want to do, I still made connections. It gave me a steady paycheck, so I had some outside time to write without that pressure. I went to Paris several times because of that
Mm.
job, and it's something that I wrote about in the book that I got to have a very creative experience simply because I was there for work. So sometimes you can find all these different ways that somehow it does work, even though like it
Yeah.
doesn't seem like, you know, selling underwear will lead you to the path that
Yeah.
writes a book or something like that. Um, but in a weird way, it does. So it's a thing just to like keep your eyes out for that sort
Mm.
of opportunity and to there's a section in the book that's called how to kangaroo like Kirk or something like that, and he tries all these different things. And I think, or at least looking at the adults in my life growing up, everybody had the same job forever.
Mm.
But I think now there's more of a willingness to try things. And if it doesn't work, you try something else. And I think that's an important part to finding what path works for you is the ability to try and being like, either it didn't work and we'll move on, or it didn't work and I know why now and I'm going to try it again and that one might work.
Absolutely. And I think the power also of unexpected encounters, you never know who you're going to meet. Um,
Yeah,
and what is going to inspire you. It could be a moment in the shower, it could be a moment selling, any
exactly.
type of product. And I think that by default, we're all creative in a way, and we just have to find the, right layout to put it, to share it with other people as well. Um,
Yeah.
I think one of the main themes that is present in all the seasons of the Gilmore Girls is the power of the chosen family. Community is a very big theme, both in the Gilmore Girls and also in your work. What does chosen family mean to you, and how can people start building that in their own lives?
Yeah, the chosen family is such a popular theme in the community, and it's people you are not necessarily related to by blood, but you actively choose to have them in your life and support them and treat them like whatever your ideal family looks like. We sort of come into the world with a set of family, and that doesn't necessarily always mean that those people are your people. Um, so it's going out into the world and discovering the kinds of people that you want to have around you that support you, that feel good. Um, and that help you grow and become more the person that you are and the person you're meant to be. Saying that is, easy and understandable, but it's very
Mm.
difficult in
Yeah.
practice and something, I still struggle with all the time, and it's a journey. I've found these little fandoms, they're not so little, But pockets of fandoms are incredible. I have gone to Gilmore Girls festivals
Mm.
completely by myself and not knowing a single person. And I left with lifetime friends, and they still text me every time they like walk into a bookstore and see my book or see anything Gilmore related. And they live far across the country. But we are still in contact. And, it was just having that common denominator of we all loved Gilmore Girls, and that's why we were there.
Mm.
Um, and the same with things like book clubs. I just met two of my recent really good friends at a book club. And so it's, simple as sitting down and brainstorming, okay, these are the things I like. I like Gilmore Girls. I like books.
Yeah.
Where can I find people that also like the same thing? Because I'm not always the best socializer.
Mhm.
So for me, having a topic that I know that we're all going to have a lot to say embedded in whatever we're doing really takes the pressure off, helps me be myself, and really connect with people on a deeper level, more than like, hey, it's cold outside or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I encourage people to think about what they really love and finding there are so many different groups and stuff like that that it's a matter of testing those out, and connecting with a few people and saying, hey, I'd love to see more of you and spend some more time together, and seeing where it goes.
Absolutely. I think social capital is so fundamental for our, population wherever we are. And
Yeah.
I'm Italian, and we love community, and we always try to create it wherever we are. And I think when I was speaking to John Cabrera, who is the actor who plays Brian,
Yeah.
we were discussing about first of all the importance of the Gilmore Girls fandom, because it sort of reunites very special people in a way. And then on the other hand, the fact that the Gilmore Girls portray very unique and quirky characters. There is basically the possibility for each one of us to find a reflection of some of our, personality traits
Yeah.
in them. And in this way, it's very inclusive. And I was wondering, since the podcast is called Disordinati, which in Italian means, messy, unconventional, um, and I see that as a strength. Why do you think so many people still feel pressure to tone that down, and what happens when we don't tone that down?
I think our society as a whole is still very unnerved and scared of anything that is different. The pandemic brought a lot of conversation about what is normal, and things that are normal for me may not be so normal for you. And it's about either finding common ground or deciding that normal is simply just an idea that we have and somehow I'll subscribe to. And Gilmore Girls is so beautiful because it has some of the quirkiest characters, and
Mm.
I could not love them more. I have said several times that, even if Amy Sherman Palladino's next project is just a live feed of Stars Hollow, even without like Lorelai and Rory, I would watch that. I would
Yes.
subscribe all the time, and I'm sure you will too, just to, like see Kirk do whatever he's up to.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's those quirky things that make them also special. And I think that's something we need to see so much more because we are all special and different and unique.
Mm.
That is really beautiful because there are things that people think or know or create that I either haven't experienced or like is just not my personality and I can never come up with. And I love that those things are out in the world
Mm.
because I know that like that's something I never could have done or something like that. And they really are strengths because, it's something that's new and unexpected and a new angle. And as much as we do love to get in our little habits, any kind of adventure is also really exciting and a fresh take on things. So I hope people see that in the show or a lot of different shows on television and really embrace the things about them that make them unique.
Mm.
Um, it's something I always will probably always have to work on, but I've gotten used to saying like I'm a really different person. If people are all, loving I will probably want to talk about Z or
Yeah.
something. I'm all over the place. But it also means that sometimes you get to be the trendsetter and like
Mm,
show off what's so great about this other thing and um, build connections and rapport that way. And that's how some of the most beautiful things come into the world is that all these different ideas or these different people come together and, we could get something like Gilmore Girls that makes so many
mm,
people happy and brings them so much comfort. And, we may not think of that as being something really powerful,
mm,
but that is what really touches people's hearts and changes lives is, these people were comforting for me and they were supportive and they cared and they made me laugh at a time when I was really sad. Like that has
mhm,
so much power, especially these days. And, you know, anything that you can do to contribute to that for somebody else is really powerful and
mm.
really special. And yeah, I hope everybody finds that thing inside themselves.
Yes, 100%. I really agree with you. I remember when I was writing my PhD thesis, I had a lot of moments where it was quite difficult, and I watched Gilmore Girls, but I also watched a lot of Friends. And at the
Mm.
end, it was so important to me, and I was so grateful to have that show that I remember writing and dedicating part of my thesis to Friends. I don't know if you know
Oh, I
it's out
love
of the
that.
ordinary, but I was like, yeah, I mean, sometimes it helps more than actual people in my life, and it's what I needed at the moment. And talking about Friends, and this was for me one of the examples of chosen family as well, and
Mm.
it's something that perhaps is very ideal and might not be so realistic to have, your friends live on your same floor and live
Yeah.
this kind of experience. But why do you think these comfort shows resonate so deeply with us during times of change and uncertainty?
There's a lot to be said for, there's so many different stressors and anxieties, and it
Mm,
feels like something's exploding every other day now that our bodies and our minds just go through so much stress. And there are many scientific studies that say our brains and our bodies experience anything that is happening in a book on a very personal level. Like your body thinks if your character is going for a run in a book, your body thinks you're also going for a run, which is incredible. But it also can be stressful if stressful things are happening in your media, then your body stays with that stress the entire time. And that is not good for anybody. So to have a show where you know the characters, you know what's going to happen, nothing's going to jump from out behind a bush and scare you or something. Um, it gives your mind and your body some time to rest and feel rejuvenated and comforted. And that's a break that I think we all really need
mhm,
a lot of times. And so that's where those comfort shows are so powerful. And I also think, speaking like friends, they all live so close together. That's not always the case.
mm,
Our world is so much bigger than it used to be. And I have friends who live all across the country. My best friend does not live in my city or state. And it can be lonely to be so spread out that sometimes, you get up, you go to work, and you go home, and that's your day. And to have people who may not be real people on that journey with you uh, can be a really good comfort in times when your friends cannot be there physically or your
mm.
schedule's matching up. Like, as much as we try to be social, especially in a big city, like I live in New York, it's difficult to, meet somebody in Brooklyn. That's actually really far away.
Yeah.
It's a big city. So it can be harder to physically connect with somebody. And I think to have periods to sort of offset when you're able to be with those people in your life, to have these characters that are there for you,
Mm.
um, is really special and kind of a nice little overlap to help in those periods.
Absolutely. So because we've talked about New York, and I imagine it to be a very fast-paced kind of city, and there might be also pressure to having it all figured out. So there is this idea of, how success should look like. How do you personally define success now, and how has that definition changed over time for you?
I have a lot of different definitions of success for different areas. And I think that's something, again, that our culture needs to adjust to. That, like normal, we think there's one definition of success, and there's not. Um, and you're allowed to create your own. And, in my friendship circle, I think it's successful if I'm having a good time with my friends or I'm with people that I enjoy and I feel good when I leave, or, I have somebody I know I can call to go see that movie I want to see. Like that is a successful relationship. Because I have had relationships where I walk away and I'm like, I feel worse now than I did when I was, than before. And that's not how it should be. So that is a successful relationship. And I feel successful in my career when I'm creating something that I'm passionate about,
Mm.
and that is pushing me to grow. It may be a little bit uncomfortable, but I like to be challenged and I like to take those things on. Um, and I also think success is measured in the people that you touch,
Mm.
and it's not always something that you are aware of. Especially with books, because people read them in your
Yeah.
own homes, like you're not there for the experience. Um, but I have had a friend who said that she has listened to the audiobook 4 times in
Mm.
the short months that it's been out, and it has become her comfort thing. And like that is the biggest
Yeah,
award that an artist could win, in my view,
of
because
course.
I have a lot of those comfort shows and comfort books. And just to be with somebody on that journey, to have created something that is helping them is so special. And I think as any artist, it's just the highest title in the land, that you have really touched that person. And so that's success to me.
Yeah, absolutely. The power of connection is incredible. For someone listening who feels a bit lost or out of sync with where they should be, what's one mindset shift or small step that they can take today to start finding their place?
I think the biggest thing to sort of change where you are in life is to experiment. And that's something that I really don't love. Experimenting and practicing. I'm not thrilled with it, but it's something you have to do. Um, so whether it's like just brainstorming things that you like and saying, okay, I like knitting and bowling and whatever, and seeing if you can find those places in your community, because I'm sure that there are. And just break it down into little steps. Like today, I'm just going to think about what I like. And then next week, I'll deal with that then. That sometimes it's those very small steps that can change everything. If it's your career, um, is there, one person you can connect with that's in a career that you want to be in? Or, start a social media account that is towards what you want and not what you currently have. And that's what, I did with mine.
Mhm.
Um, that I started it when I was still working in sales, but I was like, I love books and pop culture, and this is the part that I want to be in. So all I have to do is take pictures of that and post it and start growing the community that way.
Yeah.
So just, don't stress about changing everything in your life all at once. Just start with something small and see if that works. And if it doesn't, try something else. And until all those small things build up together, and in a year you could turn around and see how far you've come, but it just takes something really small to start
Yeah, that's really useful advice. I'm going to take that as well.
with.
And then because we're on Gilmore Girls topic, I need to ask you what
Yeah.
team you're on, Jess, Logan, or
Mm.
Dean?
So I now like to say that I am Team Rory, because she
Ooh,
deserves
okay.
just someone so incredible.
Okay.
Um, if ASP decides that that is Jess in the future, I'm on board with that, because he had a really incredible character arc. Like he learned and he grew up and he
Mhm.
has changed so much.
Yeah.
So in the later seasons and in the year of the life, I could really get behind if Jess is that person.
Yes.
Um, I like Dean as like in season one, just the first. I
Yeah.
think he's a really good first boyfriend.
Yeah.
And then Jess had a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Logan's just I always have a difficult time with Logan. Maybe he was what she needed at the time.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, she deserves somebody really incredible, and somebody who
Mm.
is like her Luke. um, and someone who's going to help her grow and support her. And yeah, I hope that person is out there for her.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Christine. It's been really a
Sure.
pleasure being with you. And again, meet me at Luke's Lessons in Life and Love from Gilmore Girls. Go and check it out. Thank you so, so much.
Of course, thank you.